We'll begin with the ubiquitous disclaimer. All applicants are strongly encouraged to carefully read the funding opportunity announcement. And again, that's DE-FOA-0001016, and adhere to the stated submission requirements. The content included in this presentation is intended to summarize the contents of the FOA, but if there are inconsistencies between the content presented here and the information in the FOA, please first of all contact us at the Mineral Recovery FOA at geo.doe.gov. But also, in the event there is inconsistency, the funding opportunity announcement takes precedent. It's the controlling document, and you should rely on that, the language contained therein. Okay, this is the layout of the presentation today. We'll go through the necessary administrative processes that are required to allow folks to apply to the funding opportunity announcement. We'll start off with registration requirements, talk about award information, FOA information, then briefly touch on concept papers, full applications, and then review processes. After we do that, we'll broach the more technical aspects of the FOA in Section 7, which is the technical background on strategic materials. And then finally, as mentioned previously, there will not be a live Q&A session. However, please do submit any questions you have to the email address, and those will be responded to and posted online. And a little more detail on that will be coming later in the presentation. So here is the anticipated schedule for the strategic materials FOA. The issue date was a week ago on Tuesday, the 4th of February. Conducting the informational webinar now, and it will remain online and accessible throughout the open period of the funding opportunity announcement. A very important date is the submission deadline for concept papers, and that is Thursday, the 6th of March by 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you'll notice, all of the times that we did designate are at 5 p.m., which is close of usual business hours Eastern Time on the dates that are here. All applicants must submit a concept paper by this due date listed to be eligible to submit a full application. So it is imperative that the applicants, the applicants, be responsive during award negotiations and meet these deadlines. Failure to do so could result in cancellation of award negotiations and rescission of selection, and that's more applicable for selection notifications and the time frame for award notifications. So we should have selections out by August 8th. People should be notified, and then we should have the awards negotiated. Is our intent to have awards negotiated by the end of September of this year. Submission deadline for the full application, please take note, is May 2nd at 5 p.m. as well. So all of these dates are very important. Please make note of all of them. So the registration requirements to apply to this FOA. You, the applicant, must register with and submit full application materials through the EERE exchange at the web address listed there. You have to obtain a control number at least 24 hours before the first submission deadline. And then, although not required in order to submit an application, the following registration must be complete to receive an award under this FOA. And so there are several one-time actions that are required before submitting an application in response, and it is vital that you address these as soon as possible. Some of them may take several weeks, and and failure to do so in a timely manner can interfere with your ability to both apply to this FOA to meet negotiation deadlines or ultimately to receive an award if the application is selected. So for the DUNS number, that is, you need to obtain a Dun and Bradstreet universal numbering system DUNS number at the address that is listed there. SAM, or System for Award Management, you need to register with the System for Award Management and designate an electronic business point of contact and obtain a special password called an MPIN. That's also an important step in SAM, and you need to make sure, if you already registered, you need to update your SAM registration annually. You also need to register in FedConnect and create an organization account using the SAM PIN that you've already created. And finally, in grants.gov, you need to register in that, although you don't have to receive automatic updates when amendments to this FOA are posted. However, do note that concept papers and full applications are not accepted through grants.gov. They're only accepted through EERE Exchange. So, means of submission, as I was mentioning previously, concept papers, full applications, and replies to reviewer comments must be submitted through the EERE Exchange at the address. We will not review or consider applications submitted through any other means. So I can't emphasize that enough. All official applications need to come through the Exchange. There is a user's guide for applying to the Department of Energy's EERE funding opportunity announcements, and it can be found at that web address. So here is the award information. Anticipated total amount to be awarded is going to be between $2 and $4 million. It is listed as $3 million in the funding opportunity announcement language itself, but it's ultimately between 2 and 4 million that could be available. The anticipated average award amount is between $200,000 and $500,000. The types of funding agreements, we anticipate these being cooperative agreements. However, it could potentially be cooperative agreements as well as grants, technology investment agreements, work authorizations, and interagency agreements. The period of performance is 12 to 24 months, and this may come up later. Our preference is for the shorter timeline on the project, so closer to the 12 months than the 24, but we are looking for ultimately projects between 12 and 24 months in duration. And as always, with things of this nature, any future funding is contingent upon the availability of funds appropriated by Congress for the purpose of this program. We'll now touch on substantial involvement, the statement of substantial involvement. For this, anticipating that we will be using cooperative agreements, there is anticipation that we will have substantial involvement between EERE and the prime recipient during the performance of the resultant cooperative agreement. EERE has the right to intervene in the conduct or performance of project activities for programmatic reasons. Interventions include interruption or modification of the conduct or performance of project activities. We do not limit that involvement necessarily to administrative requirements of this award. Instead, we have substantial involvement in the direction and redirection of technical aspects of the project as a whole. So to this end, the technology office, geothermal office in this instance, will utilize a technical monitoring team composed of geothermal experts to provide periodic support in evaluating, reviewing, and guiding the project. And continuing on with substantial involvement, EERE GTO may intervene in the conduct or performance, as mentioned, for programmatic reasons. We may redirect or discontinue funding based on outcomes of the evaluation of the project at no-go decision points. and again, we will participate in major project decision-making processes. A question that usually gets asked for these funding opportunity announcements: multiple applications. Yes, applicants may submit more than one application to this FOA, provided that each application describes a unique, scientifically distinct project. So it is allowable. Eligibility requirements. So to be eligible for this funding opportunity announcement, you must, it includes anyone who is either an individual, a domestic entity. We do allow foreign entities. If a foreign entity applies for funding as the prime recipient, it must designate in the full application a subsidiary or affiliate incorporated or otherwise formed under the laws of the state or territory of the United States to be the prime recipient. So for foreign entities, that caveat does apply. Eligible applicants also includes incorporated and unincorporated consortia. For more detail about each eligible applicant, you can see Section 3A of the FOA for eligibility requirements. So, prime recipient cost sharing requirements is another question that often comes up. Normally 20% cost share is the statutory minimum for research and development projects, and that applies largely in this instance as well, a minimum of 20% of the total project cost for R&D projects, unless the project does qualify for the cost share reduction, which we have implemented for this funding opportunity. So we have reduced the recipient cost share requirement to 10% for R&D activities where the prime recipient is a domestic institution of higher education, is a domestic nonprofit entity, is a federally funded research and development center, so national lab, or U.S. state, local, or tribal government entity, and the prime recipient performs more than 50% of the project work as measured by the total project cost. Applicants who believe their project qualifies for the reduced recipient cost share must be able to provide verification that both of those above requirements are satisfied. So allowable cost share. Cost share must be allowable and must be verifiable upon submission of the full application. So you must refer, or you should refer to the following applicable federal cost principles depending on what type of entity you are. For educational institutions, the cost principles that apply to you are 2 CFR Part 220. State, local, and Indian tribal governments, it's 2 CFR Part 225. Nonprofit organizations, again 2 CFR but Part 230. And for-profit organizations, a different one, it's FAR Part 31. So another issue that is at times cause for some confusion is allowable cost share. Cash contributions obviously may be provided by the prime recipient, subrecipient, or a third party, and those are obviously allowable. In-kind contributions can also be allowable and include, but are not limited to, personal cost, indirect costs, facilities and administrative costs, rental value of buildings or equipment, and the value of a service, other resource, or third-party in-kind contribution. So these in-kind contributions can take many forms, each of which must be assigned a dollar value to be included in the budget. Moving on. Unallowable cost share. The prime recipient may not use the following resources, or the following sources, I should say, to meet its cost share obligations, including, but not limited to, revenues or royalties from the prospective operation of an activity beyond the project period. In this instance, revenue or royalty from the sale of electricity or sale of materials post project period would not be an allowable source of cost share. Additionally, proceeds from the prospective sale of an asset of an activity is not allowable. No other federal funding or property may be used for cost share, nor will expenditures reimbursed under a separate federal technology office be allowed. Independent research and development funds are not allowable, nor is the same cash or in-kind contributions for more than one project or program. So if you're getting cash from another agency for a similar project, you cannot then apply that for cost share for this project. So cost share contributions, they must be specified in the project. They must be verifiable from the prime recipient's records, and they must be necessary and reasonable for proper and efficient accomplishment of the project. Every cost share contribution must be reviewed and approved in advance by the contracting officer and incorporated into the project budget before the expenditures are incurred. Cost share payments. Prime recipients must provide documentation of the cost share contribution incrementally over the life of the award. The cumulative cost share percentage provided on each invoice must reflect, at a minimum, the cost sharing percentage negotiated. So that's worth taking note of. It must reflect at a minimum the percentage that has been negotiated for cost sharing. However, in limited circumstances, the prime recipient may submit a waiver request to meet its cost share requirements on a less frequent, so less than per invoice basis, such as monthly or quarterly. Such waiver requests must be sent by email to the CO, the contracting officer, during the award negotiations, and they shall include a detailed justification for the request, a proposed schedule of payment, including amounts and dates, a written commitment to meet that schedule, and such evidence is necessary to demonstrate that the prime recipient has complied with its cost share obligations to date. And the contracting officer must approve all such requests before they may go into effect, and submission of a request does not mean that it will be accepted. Okay, back to concept papers. Applicants must submit a compliant concept paper by 5 p.m. Eastern Time, remember, end of regular business day Eastern Time, on March 6, 2014, this year, to be eligible to submit a full application. Concept papers are deemed compliant if the applicant, successfully uploaded all required documents and clicked the Submit button in EERE Exchange by the deadline stated in the funding opportunity announcement. See Section 4C of the FOA for information on the content requirements for the concept papers. So some more detail on the concept paper and concept paper review. Eligible concept papers will be reviewed based on the criteria in Section 5A1 of the FOA. You will be notified of an encourage-discourage decision, and review comments on the concept paper will be available in the EERE Exchange. You will be provided approximately 45 days to prepare a full application after receiving your encourage-discourage letter on the concept paper. Applicants who receive a discouraged notification are still allowed to submit a full application, but do take note, by discouraging the submission of a full application, EERE, we did intend to convey a lack of programmatic interest in that proposed project. Full applications. Applicants, you must submit a full application again by the close of regular business hours, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on May 2nd this year. Full applications will be deemed eligible if you're an eligible entity under the FOA Section 3A. You submitted an eligible concept paper. The cost share requirement is satisfied per the FOA Section 3B. The full application is compliant with the FOA Section 3C, and the proposed project is responsive to the FOA Section 3D. Merit review and selection process. An overview. Evaluation and selection will consist of multiple phases that each include an initial eligibility review and then a thorough technical review. These reviews are going to be conducted by reviewers that are experts in the subject matter of this FOA. In this instance, that will mean strategic materials, mineral extraction, critical materials, extracting technologies from geothermal brines, etc. Ultimately, the selection official considers the recommendations of the technical experts, and that's vetted through the Federal Consensus Board, along with other considerations such as program policy factors and available funding to determine the ultimate selections. And please see Section 582 of the Funding Opportunity for information on the technical review criteria for those full applications. Continuing the pre-selection clarifications, so this is what may be a relatively new aspect to the funding opportunity mechanism, but these will be used solely for the purposes of clarifying the applications and will be limited to information that has already been provided in the application. This may occur before, during, or after the merit review evaluation process, so we would ask that when you designate your points of contact, make sure all the contact information is accurate for starters, and then make sure that they are available to receive questions from us that may require clarification. So continuing in that vein, replying to reviewer comments, you will have an opportunity to review the comments from the independent reviewers and provide a reply to those comments. Replies will be limited to 3 pages, and you will have approximately 5 business days to submit your reply. However, applicants, you are not required to submit a reply. It is, however, encouraged. Please see the Section 4F and 5A3 for additional information regarding those replies to reviewer comments. In selection factors, the selection official may consider the merit review recommendation program policy factors and the amount of funds available when arriving at the ultimate selections for this funding opportunity announcement. Looking briefly at the program policy factors, the selection official may consider these when determining which full applications to select for award negotiations. I will not read through them all in detail, but point a few out. Industry involvement, commercialization of the technology, risk associated with the project, whether the project will accelerate transformational technological advances, how well it addresses ERE's statutory mission and goals, and the degree, this one is specific to geothermal program, the degree to which the proposed project will accelerate the development of geothermal power production in underutilized regions. This is the review timeline. As has been mentioned, the funding opportunity announcement opened on February 4th. We are conducting the webinar on February 11th, and the concept papers are due March 6th. We will then conduct the review. You should be receiving your encourage/discourage notification on or around the 21st of March, with full applications due by May 2nd. We will then do full review of the applications, and you should receive reviewer comments by June 11th. You need to reply to those comments by the 19th of June. We will then conduct the full review and selection process, and it is our intent to have notification of selection, non-selection by August 8th. However, if you haven't heard from us by August 8th, please give us a couple days. It will depend on the level of participation, how many different applications are ultimately need to be reviewed. Pre-selection clarifications will go from May 2nd, the close date, through July to get clarification on those applications. We do anticipate making awards by the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September. So a few key submission points before we close out the administrative portion of the webinar. Please check entries in the EERE exchange. You could be deemed ineligible if you do have incorrect entry data. We strongly encourage you to submit 1 to 2 days prior to the deadline to allow for full upload of application documents and to avoid any potential technical glitches which may occur with the EERE exchange system. For better or worse, technical glitches are not and will not be viewed as an excuse or as a reason for not having applications in by the deadline. So please get your submissions in prior to that due date so that technical glitches or things of that nature do not prevent you from being considered for award. Additionally, I would like to reiterate, you need to hit the submit button for your application to go through. If the submit button is not depressed, it will not submit your applications. And additionally, any changes that you make to your applications after you hit the initial submit button will unsubmit it, your application, and you will need to hit the submit button again to resubmit your applications. So please take note of that. We also recommend that for your records you print out the EERE exchange confirmation page at each step, and that will contain your control number. So going back to what I had mentioned previously, you must designate primary and backup points of contact in exchange with whom we will communicate to conduct award negotiations. It is imperative that you be responsive during the award negotiations and meet those negotiation deadlines. And again, failure to do so may result in cancellation of award negotiations or rescission of the selection, which nobody wants. So now that we have made it through the administrative and process requirements for the funding opportunity, we'll briefly touch on some of the more technical aspects of the initiative. But again, please note, as mentioned previously, the funding opportunity announcement is the controlling document and should be relied on if any discrepancies are noted between what is presented here and what exists in the FOA announcement. So for the Strategic Materials Initiative, some of the scientific underpinnings, essentially we know that critical resources are associated with certain known mineral deposit types. That's pretty well established. We know that platinum group elements are known to be enriched in some hydrothermal mineral deposits, and rare earths are sometimes enriched in some lateritic clay deposits. These deposits are more unconventional and not as well documented or understood as some of the conventional deposits mentioned previously. In addition, new technologies and product development increase the need for greater production of previously underutilized mineral commodities and the discovery of new deposits. That's part of the aim of this funding opportunity announcement. Just some quick facts on rare earth strategic materials, critical materials. Obviously, they're a necessity for modern industry. These are essential for sophisticated technologies, but they are subject to supply risk with ever-increasing demand and with reliance on imports for the vast majority of the supply. As an example, global demand for lithium carbonate is expected to exceed 250,000 tons by 2017, which is a 60% increase over current demand. High demand for materials in the high-tech industry, obviously, lithium, manganese, tellurium, zinc, and there's uses for geothermal strategic materials or materials that can be entrained in geothermal brines in many applications, from cathodes, glass, ceramics, lubricants to other advanced manufacturing technologies. DOE and the Geothermal Technologies Office have investigated the concept of mineral when material extraction from geothermal brines in the past. There was a Recovery Act project that many of you may be aware of that was looking at a mineral extraction demonstration, built a pilot facility successfully to produce lithium, manganese, and zinc from geothermal brines while also producing power from that brine. Additionally, Lawrence Livermore and Brookhaven National Lab both investigated extracting materials, namely silica, from fluids at different sites. Additionally, DOE-wide effort was the Critical Materials Strategy document, which was published and focused on clean energy technologies in 2011. This paper, this strategy identified the rare earth elements that are necessary for clean energy technologies, but that were found to be a critical need for in the short term, which is from now to 2015. But this is really the heart of the funding opportunity announcement. This is what we're getting after, which is to promote the advancement of thermal energy conversion processes capable of converting geothermal heat sources into power in conjunction with the development or exploitation of technologies capable of capturing, concentrating, and or purifying valuable materials contained within geothermal brines to economically extract resources that can provide additional revenue streams to geothermal operators. So while rare earth elements and near critical and critical minerals are essential for modern industry and especially high-tech applications, this FOA is not limited solely to those materials. The goal here is to promote the advancement of thermal energy conversion processes capable of converting geothermal heat sources into power. That's a prerequisite. In conjunction with the development or exploitation of technologies capable of capturing, concentrating, and or purifying valuable materials contained within geothermal brines to economically extract resources that can provide additional revenue streams to geothermal operators. So the scope of this is broader than simply rare earths, critical minerals, critical materials. It is looking towards economically extractable resources. So, and this is pulled directly from the FOA language. For the purposes of this FOA, material or mineral shall be broadly defined to include any substance, excluding hydrocarbons, that is entrained in a geothermal fluid that can be extracted using new or existing technologies and be put to a useful purpose. And then, however, geothermal mining of rare earth and near critical metals are the focus, but anything that can be extracted and put to a useful purpose, in addition to producing energy from the geothermal brine, will be considered. And here is a summary of the low temperature geothermal mineral program, aka the Strategic or Critical Materials FOA. So again, the objective is to extract materials, minerals, to optimize the value stream of low to moderate temperature resources. We envision, again, awarding multiple projects up to 2-year project periods. The way of background, we know that rare earths near critical are essential for clean technologies, but subject to supply risks. Additionally, minerals like tellurium, lithium, manganese, zinc supply raw materials, as we've mentioned previously, and additionally, minerals have critical value for advanced manufacturing technologies. So, for this FOA, what we are interested in are feasibility studies. This is a Phase 1 funding opportunity announcement only. We're interested in feasibility studies that include fully developed business plans that lay out the technical and economic feasibility, viability of mineral extraction technologies combined with geothermal power production at new or existing geothermal resources. We're also interested in assessments of current rare earth and near critical metal resource base, with the potential extraction volumes, rates, including again coupled techno-economic analysis. Additionally, we're interested in applied R&D of innovative extraction technologies with, again, accompanying feasibility studies of currently available technologies and or potential novel alternatives, and then modeled test results for the most promising candidates. Of note, geochemical modeling and leaching experiments to optimize the composition of downhole fluids and identify additives that selectively leach high-value critical elements are included, and are of interest for this funding opportunity announcement. So projects will be expected to incorporate, as appropriate, depending on whether they're applied R&D, feasibility study, or analysis work for these phase 1 projects, some clearly defined metrics to include quantification of value added to the geothermal production system from the innovative extraction method for the target material or materials, data gathered on geothermal and mineral resources employing innovative criteria modeling that has not previously been used or applied in a geothermal context, and or project-specific feasibility studies that demonstrate the viability of the technology and the applicability of the site to a number of reciprocal sites. Equally important are applications that are specifically not of interest. And again, just of note, and so everyone is aware, we do perform a preliminary eligibility review of the full applications. Applications that fall outside the parameters specified in Section 1B of the FOA are deemed non-responsive, and they do not continue on in the process. So projects of this nature includes, but is not limited to, any applications that fall outside the technical parameters specified again in Section 1B, including but not limited to applications that propose mineral recovery that is not associated with geothermal fluids. It has to be material extraction from geothermal fluids, and it has to be power production in tandem with material extraction from geothermal fluids. Additionally, applications for proposed technologies that are not based, obviously, on sound scientific principles will not be considered. They'll be deemed non-responsive. And lastly, applications that propose phase 1 demonstration projects will not be considered. They will also be deemed non-responsive. This is a phase 1 funding opportunity announcement only. It is for feasibility analysis and applied R&D work. The applied R&D work can include some bench style testing, modeling, but there is to be no demonstration scale projects to be awarded for this funding opportunity announcement. And that concludes the presentation on the low temperature geothermal mineral recovery program funding opportunity announcement. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you have questions about this FOA, we would love to hear them. Email us at mineralrecoveryfoa@geo.doe.gov. All questions related to this funding opportunity will be posted on the EERE Exchange. You will need to select this FOA, which is DE-FOA-00, should be another 0 in there, 1016 to view the Q&As. We will attempt to respond to the questions within 3 business days, unless a very similar question has already been posted on the website, in which case please just defer to that. If you have problems logging on to the Exchange or uploading and submitting application documents, please email EERE Exchange support at hq.doe.gov. Include the phone name and number in the subject line to expedite your response. And again, all questions submitted will be posted on the Exchange unless they are a duplicate of an existing question. We appreciate your time. Please let us know if you have any questions, concerns, comments, and we look forward to receiving your applications and being in contact with you in the near future. Thank you very much.